Hello and welcome to another episode of Sports and Songs podcast. This is season 6, Andy, episode number 29, Songs Edition.
Yes, music to my ears.
We're going to focus on music tonight. It's May 29th, 2025. We're going to do an album review and talk a little music as we do here on Thursday nights. Now, Andy, we've never done this review of this band before, but we touched on it on our 12 one-hit wonders of what? 12 Days of Christmas? 12 hits?
Yeah, the 12 one-hit wonders of the 80s we did back in December.
Yes, the one-hit wonders of the 80s. And the reason we picked this one is it got a bunch of views. It got a bunch of hits. People liked the 12 one-hit wonders of the holidays there last year. And the band is called The Firm. The Firm.
Yes.
We're going to cover this here today. Here we go.
I had this the first time it came out.
You did? I did not. Yep. I'll admit that right now. I was too young. I wasn't as yourself in the music business back in 1985. But The Firm's debut album, it's a studio album by British rock band The Firm, released by Atlantic Records, February 1985. So, this is interesting stuff. And if you haven't heard of the band The Firm, you could call it a supergroup, right?
Yeah.
Let's see.
Like that term, but yeah.
We'll go through The Firm, the personnel, because we'll let the listeners then draw their own conclusions. So they get Paul Rodgers on lead vocals from Bad Company and other bands. Jimmy Page, electric guitar from Led Zeppelin. Tony Franklin plays bass, a fretless bass, I might add.
Yes.
And Chris Slade on drums.
And Chris Slade had worked with AC/DC.
Okay. So we've got people that are veterans of the music industry. Let's call it that. Veterans of the music industry, well known, come together to form a band. And this is 1985. Zeppelin wrapped up in 80. And so, pulling in Jimi Hendrix from the Swan Song and label. Jimmy Page. Oh my gosh, did I just say that?
Whoops.
That was a bad. So Jimmy Page from Swan Song, it was their label. Bad Company was also on that, along with Mr. Paul Rodgers, right? I didn't know the connection there. So they were friends. They were buddies.
Oh, that they were just at the same label.
Okay. But they were friends, right?
They were just at the same label.
Okay, gotcha. So they start talking, and let's get this band together, and they release it called The Firm. And some of the tracks, let's go through the tracks because there's interesting things on some of these.
Yep.
With the talent here in this band. Track listing: Song 1, Closer. Song 2, Make or Break. Song 3, Someone to Love.
Great song.
Song 4, Together. Song 5, Radioactive.
Awesome song.
Very good. Popular. You probably would have heard that one. The next song is a cover of the Righteous Brothers, You've Lost That Lovin' Feelin'. What's your thoughts on that one?
If it wasn't Paul Rodgers singing, but Paul Rodgers is so awesome, he was able to pull it off.
Okay. Next song is Money Can't Buy. Next song, Satisfaction Guaranteed.
Another best song on the album.
Best song, yes. Very good song. And then they wrap up with a long 9-minute song called Midnight Moonlight. And this ties back to the label, I think, or Swan Song. Right? This was an old demo from Led Zeppelin days, from the Physical Graffiti recording sessions, I believe. And now I did not know this. So Led Zeppelin does the album Physical Graffiti, which is it's a double length album, a lot of songs. This one was never included. So they tinkered with it. It's a previously unreleased song by Led Zeppelin. And they tinkered with it. So, they released that 9 minutes long, very good music. It does sound like a Zeppelin song with Jimmy Page on the guitar. Very
And
interesting.
Page did this album just to see, like any musician, it's like when you first retire from a team, you can't give it up. Your band quits, but you still got that itch, He wants to see if he can still do it, which he did. He kind of tinkered with other guys here and there. That's what Page did. Paul Rodgers filled in with other bands altogether too. I think this is just their one way of in between bands is kind of staying fresh and staying good, not getting rusty, keeping their name out there.
It's very good. The song Closer has a horn section, very good horn section in there. And then the song Radioactive actually topped Billboard's top rock tracks chart for 1 week. And so here's the singles that they released. So 9 songs, very, good album. They released Radioactive first, then Closer, then finally Satisfaction Guaranteed, all in 1985. So good stuff. The genre here is rock. The album length is 40 minutes, 19 seconds. Producer, Jimmy Page, Paul Rodgers. And 1984, they recorded it, released it 1985. It's very interesting. I didn't know the history of this album in its entirety. So I gave it a good listen, and very interesting, the talent with this group. But anyway, Paul Rodgers. Paul Rodgers went on to marry the former Miss Canada in 1985.
Yeah.
So, she was doing aerobic and jazzercise things on VHS and workout videos. He married her. Jimmy Page was, himself. If you look on YouTube, you can see some of these videos of some of these songs performed live. But very interesting. Very, very interesting. MTV era was it 85 or was that very too
It was
early?
85, so it was big for MTV. And then you had Paul Rodgers and Jimmy Page. Ooh, those are big names because you're trying to get that older generation at the time to watch like MTV. So let's have some of the 70s stars on there. They're still making it. Names you'd heard before. So it was an easy sell to get eyes on. But they were the firm was very cool. I liked them. I wasn't a big Zeppelin guy. We've covered that. But I liked Jimmy Page. And I've always kind of liked Paul Rodgers' voice. Paul Rodgers is one of those, it's not a great voice like, oh, I'd listen to him sing the phone book. He's so, no, not that. No. But he's got a nice, distinctive voice. That's Paul Rodgers when you hear it.
So this thing went gold. It went gold level status. I like the logo. The logo is cool here for the album. It's got name recognition. I am not sure if they toured at all and whatnot after this. They did release
the album.
They did release a second album called Mean Business the year later. I didn't get that. We haven't reviewed that one, but this is our first chance reviewing The Firm. A lot of good tunes here. This is a talented group.
Yeah, it's good. I said 40 minutes. That's what's cool length for y'all to working back.
Anything else with Mr. Rodgers there?
No, just I heard some stuff about Jimmy Page, how he kind of really wanted to do this to see if he still had it. Just kind of prove to himself he could still do it. I'm not saying him and Paul Rodgers were best friends, but they weren't enemies. They were just kind of, I think, business associates for this. Of course, you knew of each other because of their legacies, but and of course, the drummer, he'd been with ECDC, some other bands. Bass player had worked with, I think, Paul Rodgers in the past. So it's like super. I don't call this a super group. I don't call Power Station a super group. They were just guys who got together for an album or two.
Yeah, it was collaboration. A collaborative effort is really the word here. Instead of a super group, they formed. They put out a couple albums. They had a good time doing it, and all the songs are. It's Jimmy Page and Paul Rodgers on everything. These two did it all except for the cover, and there's 3 songs there that Paul Rodgers did himself. So this is experimental stuff, but it's good rock music. I liked it.
Yep, very nice, very cool, very something different. Kind of break up your day if you listen to the same stuff over and over. Throw this in. I don't know what radio station you'd hear this on today if it came out. Because it's good rock and roll. Now that KQ changed their format, you probably wouldn't hear it there. you know, maybe 93X in the middle of the day would throw it on.
Yeah, I don't know. It's this is 1985, so it's classic now. But these are the type of songs that'll stick in your head if you're really into music. That midnight Moonlight song, that 9-minute piece. Just listen to the musicianship on that. It's just really good stuff. But that's all I've got. Anything else on the Firm, Andy?
No, just like give them a listen. If you're a Paul Rodgers fan or a Page fan, you'll enjoy the album. I'll just leave it at that. That's kind of a review for itself right there.
Love it. All right. See you next week.